Hi, friends. It's me, Kaela. I have a really special treat for you today. So, the video that you are about to watch is the full interview that I just did with my friend Keri Stanley for her summit called the Trailblazing Women series. I am honored to be one of the experts in Keri's series. And after we recorded it, I said to Keri, that was so good. I really would love to put that on our YouTube channel and on our podcast so that people can tune in. Are you willing? And she said, of course. So stay tuned to listen to the full episode, the full interview of Keri interviewing me and diving into some really delicious topics around being trailblazers, trusting ourselves, and following joy as the thing that makes us money. And if you love this interview and you want to hear more interviews from Keri and her series, then you can check out in the show notes to learn how you can register for her full summit. And of course, you can subscribe to get more videos like this from us. Enjoy.
Welcome to another session of Trailblazing Women. I am Keri Stanley, your host, and I have one of my dear friends and also somebody that has had a mega influence on my life, Kaela, on the show today as our guest expert. And I just know you guys are going to love this interview. You're going to get so much out of it. And Kaela, thank you so much for coming on and being one of the Trailblazing Women.
Yeah, Keri, thank you so much. I know we've been going back and forth for the time to get this interview to happen because we were both so committed, and you caught me just before I'm about to head out on my kayak. So this is the perfect way to just I'm going to swim in these oceans here and then head out on the lake.
Yes. And that's one of the things that you have taught me so much is really surrendering into creating the life that I desire, and it can run the way that I want it to run, that you can actually be a trailblazer and be a trailblazer in the way that you run your life. Like, you truly are the person that models that for me. So Kaela, for people that don't know you at all, I would love for you to just do a quick, this is who Kaela is in the world.
Oh gosh, there's nothing quick about it, but I'll make it fast. Okay, so hi everyone. Like Keri said, I'm Kaela. I'm an ontological life coach. Ontology is the study of being. So I work with soulful entrepreneurs and leaders who are committed to having a rich experience of life in every sense of the way. And really the work that I do with them is I hold a torch for the women that I work with to really see who we are, to see our greatness, and to make powerful decisions and take actions from that place while really honoring our femininity and that balance of divine masculine and feminine energies within us. And as a human, that's like me in the business world, but I'm also a human. So as a human, I live between my now two homes, and it's so exciting that I really live here. I'm in my brand new home. I'm at a lake house in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and I flow between here and kind of home base, or what home base has been, in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Soon to add a place in Savannah. That's the next goal that we're bringing to fruition. I'm a dog mom. I ride horses. I'm a Pisces sun, Leo moon, and I love to read, drink tea, and champagne.
You are a champagne lover.
I am.
I thought of you while I was in Paris because it was like the mecca for champagne. So
next time you go, I'll be there drinking champagne with you, surely.
Okay, sounds great. So Kaela is one who travels the world as well for pleasure, for business, and just really believes in the richness of life while you are being a trailblazer. Because one of the things that I know about you is how many times people think you're the young one, and you're part of the reason I wanted to bring you on this show is it doesn't matter what your age is, whether you're starting out, whether you're 90, whatever it is, you can choose to be the trailblazer and you can choose to define that. So I want to talk a little bit about what gave you the possibility and the bravery to really go for this early on in your life.
For sure, my mom. I watched my mom from a very young age. I can remember being like 7 years old, and my mom started a Mary Kay business. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I remember my second grade teacher would call me Miss Mary Kay, and I had a Mary Kay t-shirt I would wear to class all the time. And I thought it was so cool that she had this business, and she would go to these seminars, and then she like earned the car. And my mind was blown at 7 years old. And then I just watched my mom over the years have a lot of circumstances. For a long time, she was a single mom and, working hard to make ends meet and provide for my brother and I, and consistently following her dreams, which eventually turned into opening a salon, which was an incredible, incredible business that she built. And then becoming a health coach and eventually being my business partner. And just again and again and again, I saw her choose to follow her dreams no matter the circumstances. And I experienced how her following her dreams made life better for my brother and I. So I knew that I could do that too.
So she was one of the first trailblazers in your life as a woman that gave you permission for what's possible, is what I'm hearing.
Oh, and I come from a long line of trailblazers. Like, surely she learned that from my grandma, who learned it from her grandma, from hers. But that was, yes, the first one that I really connected with. But it's so clear to me that this isn't by chance.
Yes, absolutely. I want to dig into something that you said when you were talking about your intro of divine, feminine, and masculine, and really stepping into the power of that. One of the things that we've been talking about with all the women on this series is really how there's a new way of leadership specifically for women that is emerging. And it's the feminine way of leading rather than the masculine taking the helm. And I feel like it's so important. And I think you can speak into this so much that we have in the past maybe taken the identity that leadership had to look with a masculine, like stake in the ground. And that's the way that we led. And there's this new softer yet still extremely powerful way of leading that is emerging. That's truly what I feel is an embodied woman at the helm. And so I feel like you're the perfect person to talk about this because you embody this so well in your business, the way that you lead your clients, the way that you lead your life, in marrying those two and finding that in such a healthy state. Can you speak into what does that look like? How did you start leading from that way? And is that what you're seeing women get to step into right now?
So beautiful. So to me, leading with masculine energy, and I will say that I think there's always a blend of both, and so it's not that in masculine energy there's no room for feminine or vice versa. It's just like, what's the ingredient there's more of. And so when we have more masculine energy leading, that looks like directives. I think it looks like a clear-cut path of, I'm going to be direct, and we do A and B and C. And as the leader, I'm going to inform and let everybody know. And in many places and many times that served us. And when we shift into a space of, what does feminine energy look like to lead with? To me, that looks like leading with curiosity and wonder. And instead of giving directives to the people that we are leading in whatever sense we're leading in, to actually open up with curiosity so that they can be the leader for themselves and their life and their choices. And I really can swim between both worlds, but it just feels so good to me. And I experience a real richness in leading with that sense of curiosity.
I love that. How does that apply for you when in your own rituals and in your own way of life? Like, how does that apply specifically into the way that you run your business?
Oh, that's a great question. I'll say that I think I am prone to show up in masculine energy first. And so it's been a consistent practice of practicing shifting into feminine energy, or realizing that, the masculine energy feels like it's not going to be sustainable for me here. So then I'm going to shift. And so what that tangibly will look like is when I can see that I have a goal, a dream, a vision, that alerts me. I've now trained myself to say, okay, this desire that I have, let me shift into a space of curiosity. So that I'm not just like, well, how is this going to happen? But I'm playing with the curiosity of, okay, what would this really look like? What would it feel like, smell like, taste like? And open myself up, lean back and open my palms up to be in that feminine energy of, let me receive the information that's here for me to receive, instead of thinking that I have to pedal to the metal, figure it out.
Yeah, because I think that that's probably the default of many of us. It's been taught. And so for somebody that's hearing that and that's not been their way of life and they're wanting to lean in or lean back in the way that you said it, what is some tactical things that they can do because I truly believe this is part of the trailblazing piece. And so what are some tactical things when you were asking yourself to shift into that others can start with, like this, if this is their very beginning stages? Because I know you and your practices, and you're so tuned in spiritually that, first thing you really do some intuitive work, like every single day, every morning you do that.
Oh yeah.
So for somebody that is listening in, that they're kind of like, okay, like I'm hearing this, I'm curious about it, but I don't know where to start. Can we talk a little bit about what's that? How would you guide that?
I have one question that I use for myself every day and with my clients a lot. And that question is, what would be the most loving thing here? What would be the most loving thing? And so if we're a trailblazing woman, if we're a woman with a big dream or a goal or a drive, and we can feel ourselves like getting ready to go, and then we're also having this conversation of, but I want to practice leaning back and I want to practice opening up to receive, a way we can make that shift is to ask the question, what would be the most loving thing here? And to hear and actually follow whatever the answer is.
I love that state of curiosity, and also that we can give permission for that space, that intuitive space. Because so often, and you have big goals. I've worked alongside with you with big goals. And so often we just get out the planner. Matter of fact, I have your planner sitting right here, no less. We get out the planner and we're like, I'm going to mark all this out and I'm going to put like all the structure to it. And so when you're doing that, when you're asking yourself that question and you're giving yourself some space, because it's not that you don't set the big goals and have the plans and all of those things, where does the feminine piece of that come into the way that you structure that?
It's a braid. It's just a consistent weaving and a braid of, I set the goal and I'm checking in. Is this goal really loving and nourishing? And what's the plan? Is the plan loving and nourishing? How will I love and nourish myself while I'm carrying out the plan? When I am hitting my milestones, how will I love and nourish myself? When it feels like I'm not, I need to recalibrate. How will I love and nourish myself? And so it's like right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, that we take an action or we make a plan and then we back that up with nourishment, or we lead with love and nourishment. And from that place, we take an action and we just keep braiding those things together.
I love that. And I love that your hair's braided as we're talking.
Oh, it so is. Yeah, perfect.
It's so perfect. And as you're going, like right now, after this interview, you're headed out to go kayak. And how does those types of things, so often we have this, like, I'm going to work and then I'm going to play. And not only that, you've taught me to play so much more in life. Like, you've been a big influence in that, because that used to be something that only got to be a reward for me. And you are someone that embodies it. Not only that, creates it in work. It's things that I've adopted in my own life. And so what benefit have you seen is that? Like, how has that helped you be a trailblazer because of what you've created in your life and your business?
What I know for sure, and like, man, I hope that this gets on my gravestone is the more I play, the more I prosper. I
Like my favorite. Every time you say it, it's my favorite.
I just know that as my truth and as a universal truth. It does not just work for me, it works for everyone if we let it. But the key is that we don't like, I'm playing with our eye, one eye closed and our fingers crossed. We have to actually play. And so, yes, I'm about to head out and go kayaking. And this is my third, we could call it a break or third play session of the day, if you will, before 4 o'clock. Like, I'm not even into my evening yet. So that's how much space I dedicate to really being in joy and things that nourish me. And the reason that this works, I teach something called the joy wheel. The reason that this works is because when we jumpstart our joy and lead with the thing that really makes the biggest difference, we can't help but have the next and the next and the next and the next. And Keri, actually, I'm thinking, I know at the end we talked about a resource. Maybe I should swap it and we should give people access to make their own joy wheel, because everyone's hearing this and they're going to be like, how do I get my joy wheel? So I can teach you. I can teach you all how to get it.
Yes. Because I think there's so often I have many clients that have come to me and we've talked about dreaming or just having fun. And they're like, I don't even know what that is. I don't even know anymore, let alone do I have it on a regular basis. So I love that. And that you're talking about this, because I was listening to an interview the other day, and it was actually Troy Aikman. For those of you that don't follow football, he was a very big quarterback several decades ago. And I thought it was so fascinating because on the interview, he said he'd had all these accomplishments, and he had just, not only had he played and won Super Bowl multiple times, but he had just like broadcasted like one of the most epic games in his entire life. And that night he sat there and was like, okay, I'm really not that happy. And I have every reason to be incredibly happy. So if I have everything and every reason to be incredibly happy, why am I not? And at that moment, he started changing his life and started really looking at fulfillment as something, and joy as something that I get to have my eye on. I get to start living, because it's not as much about just the chase that he had thought. And so he totally reinvented his life from that standpoint and grounded into that. And I think so often as women, we're comparing ourselves. We are on this climb. We're on this like wheel of the climb, thinking that when we get there. And what I love about what you're saying is keeping joy at the center, at the focus, as the play in our life. Because if we're not enjoying the journey, like, it's kind of like, what's the point, And so I love that you're bringing this to the forefront. So how do people know, just for some application, because we'll make sure everybody gets the joy wheel, but for application right now, for women that are listening to this and they're just like, when was the last time that I belly laughed? When was the last time that I truly played? I remember when you sent me a message one day and you were like, I don't mean just a little play. I mean like radical play. And so can you talk into helping somebody listening in? What does that mean in their life? And how can they do a little bit of discovery or curiosity right here, right now?
Absolutely. And play gets to look different for all of us. For some of us, it's like things that are so pleasure filled and yummy and delicious. And some people, it is deep connection. Like, for me, it's really rich experiences. For my mom, it's deep connection. For her, play looks like sitting down in a yummy meditation or being with a person that she loves. And so maybe that's what it looks like for you. Or maybe what it looks like is being really generous with yourself or with someone else. And so what I would invite you to do is think about what lights you up, what gives you that feeling that you're like, this is when life is the greatest. And then how can you deepen that or expand that? That's what I would have you think about. Yeah, this is when life is the greatest. What am I doing? Who am I with? What's happening when life is the greatest for me? And then what about that can I deepen into?
So good. So good. As we are talking about trailblazers and women right now leading, and maybe they've been holding back, maybe for, whatever reason, they haven't fully gone to the places that they want to go. What do you see are the traits of a trailblazer right now, knowing that the world is in its next state of change, leadership is in its next state of change, and women are even in their next state of how do I get to be in the world? And so I would love just to hear your take on what are you seeing? What are you prepping your clients for stepping into? And really, who do they get to become right now to truly lead and be a trailblazer?
Instantly, as you ask that question, it is that they are trusting themselves. That how do I know when someone is a trailblazer? When she knows what her desires are, she's willing to look at her desire, to own her desire, and to trust herself enough to be in action towards it. It's not like, oh, I'm gonna check and see how much my rebate is gonna be from the washer and dryer that I built or that I bought. Or it's not like, well, my husband wants to go on a golf trip, so I'm gonna check and see if we can do both. It's that I am trusting myself. And when I trust myself, I set in motion the rest of the steps. I set in motion what the rest of the steps are going to be because of the way that I trust myself. That for me, that's for sure the quality of a trailblazing woman.
I love that. In that, how often do we look to the outside and look to other places for next steps? And you and I both have mentors, and it's very important for that piece of it. But at the end of the day, we really get to go back to trusting ourselves in the path and the decisions. Like, it's great to get the information, but it's like really, really going back to what we know deep inside and trusting that. And I think that's awesome. And I've watched you, no less, trust in your own path and even the business that you've created with your mom, because you guys are leading together. So can we talk a little bit about, just right before we wrap, I think this is super important, on what does it look like in your relationships? Because you've got this incredible marriage with your husband, 1 year anniversary, and
Keri,
2 year anniversary.
Can you believe it?
I know, it's so crazy. I was at your wedding and yes. So 2 year anniversary. And then you are in business with your mom. And there's so many things that, as we are navigating our relationships while trusting ourselves and fully owning and claiming our desires, like what you talked about, let's just talk just a little bit about just how does that impact the relationships in your life, and how does you kayaking in the middle of the day enhance that?
Beautiful question. So the more that I trust myself, the more that the people I'm in relationship with trust themselves, and the more that we trust each other, right? Because what I'm doing is bringing an energy of trust, and then they bring an energy of trust, and then all of our energies of trust are just playing together, and that creates so much power. And it's so, in all my key relationships, we are not asking for permission. We are trusting ourselves, and we're having conversations, and we're collaborating and co-creating and trusting. And that is very different than asking for permission on anything ever, because permission and trust just don't go hand in hand. And so my relationships feel so incredible to me because of the way that we both people in the relationship show up for ourselves and then for each other.
What you just said, permission and trust don't go together. That statement is super powerful. It is super powerful. I think everybody gets to replay that back just a little bit of that piece of it. Cause I think back to myself in the past. And I also think to so many people that might be listening in to think about, where am I waiting for permission for others, permission for myself to really go for what I want, to actually own and claim what I want, whatever it may be. And where is trust getting put to the wayside for that? And so I love that you brought to the forefront, not only that for yourself, but that it works in tandem with trusting others and them trusting you when you fully embody that. So thank you for that. Thank you for that little golden nugget today. And that's one more thing of being a trailblazer. Kaela, where can people find you and follow you and get your golden nuggets that you are dropping all the time?
So you can follow me personally on any of the socials at Kaela Jedda. You can see how to spell my name. In case you're listening, Kaelagedda. And you can also follow me at Rise Leadership Circle, any of the places that you are. We have an awesome YouTube channel, and so you can follow along there.
Awesome. And then the joy wheel we were just talking about, tell them what they get with that.
Great. So I'm going to give you access to a workshop where I will walk you through and teach you how to discover and create what your joy wheel is. And the reason that you want to know what your joy wheel is because money follows joy. And this is true whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you are a professional in a corporate job, whether you are a stay-at-home parent as your full-time job, money follows joy. And so when we know what our joy jumpstart is, and we see the wheel of how that joy flows into everything, we know what our path to making money is. And it's so powerful because instead of chasing money, it just comes to us because we choose joy, which is why I'm heading out kayaking.
Yes, more of that, please. Awesome. Kaela, thank you so much for being on. Is there any last words of wisdom that you feel that we haven't said during this session for any woman that's listening in that is truly stepping into trusting herself? Because if you're listening in, you already are a trailblazer. So trusting yourself in being a trailblazing woman at this time.
Oh, I feel so complete. Go out and have joy. The more you play, the more you'll prosper.
Awesome. And that's going on the tombstone, my dear.
Not for a long, long time.
No. You got way too much stuff to do in this world. Thank you so much for joining in and being a mentor for so many trailblazers out there and embodying it and then sharing your wisdom on the show. We appreciate it so much. And then we'll see you all on the next Trailblazing Woman episode.
Bye, everyone.